Welcome to U.S. Immigration TV. Well, in a previous video, I reported that on February 24, 2021, President Biden revoked Trump's immigration ban, which had been set to expire at the end of March 2021. Well, because of that ban, most immigrant visa processing was suspended at embassies around the world. And that caused a lot of confusion, heartbreak, and sadness to so many families around the world. I mean, after all, those people played by and they followed the rules only to be told they would now have to wait. Some had already had their visas issued, but then the visa expired. Others were already interviewed and were just waiting for their visas to be delivered. And still others were told to submit additional documents, which they immediately did, but now their future was left up in the air. Well, now that Trump's immigration ban is no longer in effect, embassies are starting to open up and will again start issuing immigrant visas. In this video, I will discuss the current status of how the embassies are opening up, and I'm basing it primarily on the information from the U.S. Embassy in Manila and their website. But the same policies and procedures for reopening is likely to be applied around the world at the embassies. So, how will the embassies be reopening, and when can you expect your family member to finally be able to immigrate to the U.S.? Well, here are some of the key points to bear in mind in connection with rescheduling interviews and visa issuance. First, routine visa services continue to remain suspended because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and this might include applying for or renewing visitor visas and other such routine services. According to the embassy, routine visa services will resume as soon as possible, but embassies are unable to provide a specific date at this time. The embassy further notes that it cannot predict when the resumption of full visa services or a specific set of visa cases will resume. In other words, even though we've now had the immigration ban revoked, we still have COVID-19 to deal with in terms of scheduling visas. Well, as for immigrant visas, whether family-based or employment-based, the following cases are being processed in limited numbers. The embassy will continue to interview and issue visas for immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, and this includes primarily spouses and children under 21 years of age. In fact, during this pandemic, the U.S. Embassy was issuing visas for immediate relatives. I've had several cases at my office where a U.S. citizen spouse was petitioning for their spouse in the Philippines, and the visas were issued. Cases where an applicant was previously interviewed but was instructed to submit additional documentation under Section 221G. Well, this law is sort of like a request for evidence from the USCIS that asks for additional documents. And it might have been something like, a marriage contract or a birth certificate, and maybe the person immediately messengered it in. Now, I imagine these people would probably not need to be re-interviewed, but instead their visas can now be issued if, all documentation has been submitted. We still have to wait whether, for example, they may have to renew their police clearance or their medicals, but we'll report on that as developments arise. K-1 and K-2 fiancé visas on a limited basis if they are, quote, expedite approved mission critical cases, unquote, such as a K-2 child who is about to age out or turn 21 years of age. Employment-based EB-3 cases for healthcare positions on a case-by-case basis. This would obviously include nurses and others in the medical field, but it's unclear if this could also include caregivers because are they really in the medical field or are they considered other workers rather than EB-3? But we'll monitor that situation if perhaps caregivers could be included in this group. Now, also remember There's a requirement that anyone entering the U.S. from abroad, including U.S. citizens, must take a COVID test a few days before arrival in the U.S. in order to be admitted. Now, obviously, this is not great news. It's merely good news. But I am glad to see the embassies are starting to open up again and are expanding the scope of immigrant visas they'll issue. And I know it can be so frustrating for many of you out there that no specific date can be given. So really, make sure you continue to watch and subscribe to this channel, because as soon as there are developments about the requirements and additional cases being accepted, we will continue to post videos to keep you informed. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Michael Gurfinkel, and thanks for watching U.S. Immigration TV.